All right, Death Cab album tier list. Been wanting to do this for a long time. Really my favorite band from age like 8 or 9 till 16 or something. Probably the only band I could accurately do this with, but that being said, my opinions are very controversial and that's fine. Come at me in the comments. Dislike this video, report it for hate speech. I'm going to start with two albums. I'm going to do Airplanes and Facts. Not because they're like incredibly similar, but I just in my mind I group these together, maybe unfairly, but keep in mind these are my two of my favorite records by Death Cab. Not my favorite, but I especially we have the facts and we're voting yes. Super, I hold that super close to my heart. So, what am I feeling for this? I like these albums. I think that they're just objectively good records. I like the muddled, kind of reverberated vibe with the drums just crashing through. I like the raw nature of all these songs. This weird kind of beautiful dissonance that I think was lost in later Death Cab. Songs like President of What and Title Track and oh my god, the Employment Pages. Just amazing songs. These sound underproduced, but they sound underproduced in a very good way. They are underproduced, I guess. Uh, just everything just fits together beautifully. I know why some people don't vibe with it as much. Personally, for me, I think they're just great records. Like I said, particularly we have the facts and we're voting yes. I'm feeling A tier for both of these. Then we got the photo album. Let's do that. Wow. By the way, I'm not doing EPs. I wanted to throw in Open Door EP, but I'm just doing just these records. I'm not doing the Chords album. Anyways, photo album, just a great album. Again, just another one that there's certain songs on this that I are my favorite Death Cab songs. Like Movie Script Ending is an incredible song, one of my favorites. Um, More spacey, kind of shades of indie pop, kind of breaking through the surface or just tapping on the glass a little bit. I don't I don't think that the whole album um, is incredibly strong in comparison with some of their others. So for that reason, I'm gonna go B tier. If that pisses you off, I understand. It is a great record. I want to avoid doing this thing where I'm like, which was my instinct, was like just the first cluster of releases are A tier and it just gets worse and worse. I want to try to avoid that. I'm sure that you're going to see that later on because I have a very good idea of where I'm going to place codes and keys. And I know that it's going to make you very angry, which I delight in. This is not a surprise. Transatlanticism, it's their best work. I think objectively, it was like an explosion of like indie rock that just set so many things in motion in the early 2000s. Just like an inspiration for everybody. I think this is where they started latching onto this specific style or sound. I think it's more accessible than most Death Cab, than any Death Cab up to this point, and it's still original though. I really like that. I like when records can do that. I like when bands can make music that is accessible, radio friendly, sort of, but still like ultra original and pushing boundaries and just focused. I think this whole thing is just focused on the music. They found their sound. They proved they could create something new in a traditional format. And I mean, come on, the track list. Give me a break. So yeah, I mean, this is S tier. I mean, there's nowhere else I can put it. It's in terms of their discography, it's like perfect. Followed up with Plans in 2005. Plans I thought about putting S tier because it's iconic and it's I just think there are things with Plans that maybe take it down a notch when compared with Transatlanticism. I think it's iconic, like I said, and a very heartfelt, beautiful album. It's more popish than anything else up till that point. I think that hurts the music in this case, in some cases within this record, in in my opinion. Oh my god. It just feels a little bit less like an artistic project and more like a bunch of songs. Like I said, I was gonna put it S tier. It's an amazing album. It's I'm gonna use this word 3 times. Iconic. I think the underdog tracks are a little bit better than the radio friendly ones. Not a little bit, they're a lot better. I'll Follow You Into the Dark, first Death Cab song I ever heard. I cannot listen to it now. Just because I just can't get through it. Like I said, I think the underdog ones are a little bit better. Brothers on a Hotel Bed is a masterpiece. I think it was written by Chris Walla, which is very interesting. It's an amazing song. And this is an amazing record. There's no way to dispute that. I can't downplay it. It's a masterpiece. It's just barely worthy of S tier. I think that it belongs right here. But I can't express enough how important and how awesome this album is. Narrow Stairs is an interesting one. It's very polarizing. Some people love it, some people hate it. That's what the meaning of that word is. It's a really cool rock album. Um, some low points overall, catchy and intriguing. Long Division is a sick song. I love that song. Another one where the radio friendly single of I'll Possess Your Heart is, in my opinion, the low point. It's so jammy too. It's like 9 minutes long, which is unnecessary in this case. You know, we're not listening to Mars Volta. A lot of cool songs on this. Bixby Canyon Bridge, which, if I'm remembering the lyrics correctly, are about Jack Kerouac and Ben and this weird relationship they had in Ben's head. I really like. Oh, speaking of that, anybody who hasn't heard the One Fast Mover I'm Gone, that soundtrack for that Jack Kerouac movie documentary, I never saw it. It was Jay Farrar and Ben Gibbard. Really good music on that. Anyways, Narrow Stairs is good. People, I had a hard time figuring out where to place it. I think the only place that I can justify is B tier. Again, I'm like balancing this line between like what I think is objectively true about Death Cab and then my personal opinions. I think it belongs there. I mean, it's not as good as Plans or Transatlanticism, but it's not in any way a weak album in my opinion. I think it's a strong record. I like, by the way, that almost every Death Cab album is a cohesive, like homogenous piece of. I really like bands that do that, um, and artists that can release a record where it all flows properly, because I feel like that's slowly becoming a lost art. Codes and Keys. My opinion on Codes and Keys is extremely unpopular. Now's the time to start writing your hate mail. Unpopular opinion, but I love Codes and Keys. I recognize and respect people's distaste for this album, and this era of the band. 100%. I see both sides. The songs are cool. They're really simple, and I think Codes and Keys and Doors Unlocked and Open, for example, really awesome songs. And it all flows well. Like I said, I think it's simple, which cannot, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. I mean, Transatlanticism had a lack of color. That's a kind of simple song. Who cares? Simple songs are cool. Shut up. um, but yeah, definitely you're seeing at this point in Death Cab like a real decline, I think, in Ben's writing, in his lyricism, and maybe even his effort. I don't know. Something is starting to change. And then you get Kintsugi. Oh, sorry, I didn't place it. Codes and Keys, I'm going to put B tier. Sue me. Kintsugi. People forget how fun this album can be. That's the first thing I want to say. Extremely catchy songs for all its faults, and I realize there are a lot of faults with Kintsugi. But like I said, I don't want to do this thing where I'm like, well, the early stuff was amazing, and because I hate when people do that, and I do that a lot. Kintsugi is a cool album. Um, No Room in Frame and Ghosts of Beverly Drive stuck in my head still after all these years. Um, some like cheap disco-y stuff that goes on here and like electronic, like just kind of plasticky, simple stuff that some people think are really is makes the album really hollow. I tend to enjoy it 100% of the time. I don't know. I like it. When you hold the later work to a different standard and realize they aren't like the same band that they were 15 years prior, you can kind of let go of that and just genuinely enjoy a lot of these songs. Worse songwriting, I think, for sure, but it's a great album, I think. I think it's a great album. I tend to skip the slower tracks. I think those are the weak ones here for some reason, but I think it's a great album. Made 2015 very fun. I'm going to put it right here. And if I could end it there, I would. But we got Thank You for Today. Not a fan. Don't understand it. Sorry. I know a lot of OG fans. I hate the word fans. Listeners tend to like it and see some kind of like return to form in some way, I guess. I think it's not explorative enough. I think it's too popish and simple. I don't feel like there's a lot of heart in it. Bold claims, I know, but even in like soulless kind of sounding tracks, there's a charm and emotion in the past with Death Cab, but I didn't believe it on this, I guess is what I should say. I don't believe you, Ben. I'm gonna put it right here. I'm sorry. I am sorry. But no I'm not. Asphalt Meadows. Not a fan either. I think it's better than the last record in a lot of ways. I think it's sharper. Uh Less fun to listen to for me. I don't think it's a very interesting listen either. Worse songwriting again I mean, I feel like that's a given at this point. It feels lazier, I think, too kind of simplistic. Um by the way, I love listening to this. This is where keep that in mind. I like all of these albums and I like all of these songs with the exception of like a few. Um so yeah, and when I call Ben Gibbard lazy, that's not I just come find me and punch me in the face. I had an open mind when the lineup changed and when Chris Walla left and all that, but I just don't think it was pulled off very well. I think that's where a lot of my issues kind of stem from. I think all the parts are there and everything is set up to work really well. I just don't feel it. I think there's a lot of cool listens on this one too, but overall, like I said, I don't believe it. I don't, you know. Hopefully, what we get next from Death Cab will be cool. I just saw them on the 20th anniversary of Transatlanticism and Give Up Postal Service. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Loved it. You know when you're a fan of a band so much you just hate like the majority of their discography because they're not like doing the thing that you like them to do. I've never been like that. And with Death Cab I enjoy all these albums a lot and it was hard for me to think of as I'm doing this like criticisms. I'm trying to keep this short too so I can't dive into stuff. I don't want to Anthony Fantano this but into a 20-minute video. But yeah, I like all these albums. I'm not a big fan of Asphalt Meadows, and I'm not a big fan of Thank You for Today. Doesn't mean I don't listen to them. Doesn't mean it's not fun to listen to. Great band. Still love them. Probably always will. Thanks for watching. Check out my music. It's not as good as Death Cab, obviously, but I don't know, you might like it. Love you.